Hey guys, MeLikeBigBoom here, and I am here back on the Sky Combat PvP map because several of you guys have been commenting how you use the Loadout command, and I guess I underestimated the amount of people that did not know how to use this command, so I think it's important enough to at least make a video about it. It's really simple. I mean, you could really learn how to do it on paper, but I know some people prefer it in video form, so I'm just going to show you how to do it in a video. But essentially what a loadout command does is it allows you to spawn with a certain amount of stuff, or certain types of stuff, and amounts, I guess, every single time you spawn. So you can set it to where you spawn with an Alice pack and an AR-32 and a board and an axe every single time you die. And this is obviously extremely useful for PvP maps, and as you could see earlier, it was very useful for when Thomas and Fresco and I all played PvP on this map. And that way you aren't constantly having to pick up stuff or spawn yourself stuff every single time you die. So anyway, to enter in the loadout command, you have to enter in @loadout. So with any sort of command, they all start with @. If you are on a server, and if you're not playing on single player, you need to make sure that you have admin abilities. If you want to give yourself admin, you type in the word admin and then space, then your Steam name into the server command window. But when you're in single player, you just have to enter in @loadout, and then from here, you're going to do space and start entering in the IDs of the items that you want to enter in. So first off, we're going to need to spawn with a backpack. So 253 is the ID for an Alice pack, the biggest backpack in the game. And you could set it right now, just do loadout 253. And whenever you die, you'll just spawn with an Alice pack. So I've respawned and now I have this Alice pack on. And I die again. And I respawn with this Alice pack, and I actually spawned in the same spot. But so I spawn with an Alice pack every time. But I want to have more than that, so you would enter in @loadout again, then do 253, and this time let's spawn with a AR-32, which is an ID of 4. Well, I guess it's called an Eagle Fire now, and then we want to spawn with a magazine, so that's ID of 6. But let's say we want several magazines. Let's say 3 magazines. Then you'll have to do 6 and 6. Actually, I'll do another one so that way it's not triple sixes. So now it's going to spawn us with 4 military magazines, an Eagle Fire, and an Alice pack. Now let's say we want a med kit, which I think is 18. Not entirely sure on that one. And let's say we also want to get a drum mag, so we'll do 17. And let's do a grizzly, which I think is 298. So already we're getting, our loadout command is getting pretty long, and you can get really long. You can constantly be adding stuff. If you want to do quantities of items, and as you saw earlier, if you want to have several magazines, you have to basically enter it in several times. And as you can see, I entered in 4 different 6s, meaning that I want 4 of the items that have the ID number 6, which is the military magazine. So if I press enter now and kill myself, I'll spawn in with all that stuff that I said earlier. So now we have, actually it's a Timberwolf that had an ID of 298, sorry. But as you can see, I spawned with 4 of these military magazines. I also spawned with a Grizzly magazine. Okay, wait, no, the Timberwolf was ID of 17, and the Grizzly magazine was 298. I need to get my IDs straight, but I was in the general range of what I was looking for. So anyway, we spawned with a military drum magazine, we spawned with a Timberwolf, 4 different magazines, and a Grizzly magazine, and then our Eagle Fire and our Alice pack. And once again, every single time you die, so we suicide, you spawn with that stuff every time. And I believe if you order it correctly, I think, if I'm not entirely sure, but if you enter in the magazines first, they will usually start to appear at the top of the inventory, whereas if you entered in the magazines last, they would spawn at the end of the inventory. So if we redid our loadout command, and we did 253 for the Alice pack, then did 17 for the Timberwolf, then did, let's say 15, I think that's actually the med kit is 15. And then we also did 6 and 6 and 6 and 6. And then we also did 297, I think is actually the Grizzly. And now it should rearrange that order. So we suicide now, and I think the magazines will actually be at the end. So yeah, so it is all orderly. I mean, if you want things to be at the top of your inventory, you would enter them in first rather than at the end. Now I kind of have this special one, this big long thing that spawns you with tons and tons and tons of different stuff that I think is a pretty good base for you to work off of for a PvP map. This 334 at the end is the ID for night vision goggles. That I'd recommend removing if you'd like to, and that's why I put it at the end, and that way you can choose whether or not you want to have it, and it's easy to find. But basically this one, when you suicide, it's the reason why I kind of think the night vision goggles is an iffy kind of thing is because whenever you respawn, it automatically equips the night vision goggles, so every time you have to press N, and that's kind of obnoxious, especially if it's just going to be a daytime PvP. But, you know, it's there if you'd like to. But it spawns you with all this stuff. It spawns you with a Maple Strike, 6 magazines, 2 grenades, a 16x zoom scope, a Timberwolf magazine, a Timberwolf, a Splint medkit, some extra ammo if you need it. Actually, it gives you 3 magazines, a fuel can for if it's a map that contains vehicles, and 2 MREs to satisfy your hunger and thirst. I think that's a pretty good base for a PvP thing. I will put that command in the description down below, and then you could work off of that if you'd like. But I think this is a pretty good setup so far. You can immediately just spawn in, and if you'd like, you can put the 16x zoom scope on your Maple Strike, or you can equip your Timberwolf, and you can also equip it on there and begin doing that. If you'd like to redo your loadout command without the night vision goggles, you just do that, and now when we respawn, we've gotten rid of the night vision goggles, and you don't have to worry about spawning with them on your face. And now that I think about it, now that I realize that the order of items affects it, I think it might actually be possible to enter in the ID of like fancy shades and also enter in the ID of night vision goggles later, so that way you spawn in with the fancy shades equipped but the night vision goggles in your inventory. That might be a better option, and I think that's what I'm going to enter in to the description down below. There we go. Now I've altered it. Let's see if it worked. And it does. So now I've set it up to where I've replaced a magazine with the night vision goggles. So now you spawn with fancy shades equipped, and you have night vision goggles in your inventory when it becomes nighttime. Also, by the way, there is a limit to how many items you can choose to spawn with. I think it's just the amount that you can type. Like, there's a limit to how much you can type. See, I can't type any more than that. So I've reached the limit. I can't type any more than this. So, I mean, this is the maximum amount of items that you can spawn. If you want to spawn another item, you're going to have to give up one of these. Also, a pretty important thing, this loadout command is shared across all your worlds. So, I mean, if you go over to PEI, you will spawn with this stuff when you die, and oftentimes, for me at least, when I'm going to the Let's Play world or something, I don't want that to happen. So if you want to reset it, you just enter in loadout and nothing else. And now, it will reset it, it'll be completely back to normal, and when you suicide, you will no longer spawn with that gear. So if you're just going in a PvP instance, just enter in the loadout command, play around with it, and then when you're done, you just enter in @loadout, like that, and you're good to go. But that should pretty much cover everything about the loadout command, what it does, how to do it, how to reset it, all that stuff. I hope you guys have fun playing on PvP maps with your friends, especially with this awesome new loadout command. If you guys like to save yourself some time trying to come up with the most perfect PvP loadout, you can copy that one I've put in the description down below. But also, I'd recommend you guys comment your own loadouts down below. Give us a little bit of an insight as to what's inside of it. And we can allow people to kind of copy and paste it, because it does take a long time to figure out the IDs of all these different items. So you guys should come up with your own loadouts, try and see all the different items that you can put into the loadout command, the maximum that you can, and figure out different ratios and different kinds of items, because there's lots of items in Unturned. So make sure to comment that down below. But other than that, that's all I have for now for my loadout command tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and do all that gibberish, because me like Big Boom is out.